Welcome to The Silence in the Mist, the audiobook. This is Chapter 1, titled Shadows at Dawn. Woodberry awoke under rain and thick mist. Marcus Black, determined to continue his investigation, stepped into the town's gloomy streets in search of answers. The day had just begun, but a strange tension hung in the air, something beyond the fog and the cold drizzle that whispered secrets Marcus was determined to uncover. Dawn came slowly and heavily, as if the sun hesitated to illuminate the streets of Woodberry. Marcus woke up to the persistent sound of rain against the window. The mist still hung over the town like a shroud, though now it was lighter, allowing the outlines of buildings and trees to be visible. He stretched in bed, feeling the stiffness in his muscles from the accumulated tension and the cold night. The previous night had left a lingering sense of unease, but he couldn't afford to lose focus. His investigation had to begin as soon as possible. Marcus headed to the bathroom, splashed cold water on his face, and then stepped into the shower, letting the hot water help release the tension from the journey. After a while, he stepped out, wrapped a towel around himself, and looked in the mirror. His eyes showed exhaustion, but also determination. He knew that the day ahead would be crucial to finding clues about Anna and Evan. He dressed quickly, placed his revolver in its holster, making sure it was well concealed, and headed down to the hotel lobby. The receptionist from the previous night was gone. In her place, an older woman with a stern expression watched him from behind the counter. "Is there somewhere I can get breakfast?" Marcus asked calmly. The woman looked at him for a moment before nodding towards a door that led to the hotel's small dining room. Marcus nodded, thanked her, and headed inside. The dining room was just as gloomy as the rest of the place, with old wooden tables and mismatched chairs. A window at the back showed the main street, where a few passers-by were beginning their day under the persistent drizzle. He took a black coffee and a piece of toast while his eyes scanned the dining room, searching for anything out of place, any sign that the town held secrets. There were only a couple of other guests, both staring at their plates, as if avoiding any interaction. Marcus finished his breakfast quickly and left the hotel. The drizzle hit his face, but the cold water helped clear his mind. He lit a cigarette and looked around. The town seemed even more desolate in the daylight. The buildings were weathered by time, and the streets were almost empty, except for a few figures walking hurriedly, their faces hidden under umbrellas and coats. Marcus knew he needed to start his investigation by talking to the locals. No one knew better than the residents what was happening in Woodberry. He walked to his car and pulled out his notebook, reviewing the places he had planned to visit that day. The first destination would be the local grocery store, a place that used to be a gathering point for the town's residents. Marcus remembered reading about it in some online forums, where it was mentioned that despite the small size of the town, the store was one of the few places where people stopped to chat. He put the notebook in his coat and began walking down the main street, observing every detail carefully. The grocery store was located a few blocks from the hotel, its facade showing signs of wear, and the barely legible sign read Woodberry Market. As he entered, a bell above the door announced his arrival, and a couple of heads turned towards him for a moment before returning to their business. Marcus approached the counter, where an older man with a stern expression and curious eyes was watching him. Marcus approached the counter, where an older man with a stern expression and curious eyes was watching him. "Good morning," Marcus greeted. "I'm Marcus Black, a private detective. I'm investigating the disappearance of a young woman named Anna Harrison and a man named Evan Woods. They came here a couple of months ago. Do you remember them?" The man frowned as if trying to remember, or perhaps deciding whether he wanted to talk to Marcus. After a moment of silence, he nodded slowly. "Yes, I remember the couple. They were here some time ago. They asked about quiet places to film, but they didn't stay long. Something about them seemed strange, like they were too excited to be here. No one comes to Woodberry willingly, the man replied, his voice low, almost a whisper, as if he feared being overheard. Marcus nodded, taking out his notebook and quickly jotting down what the man said. Did you notice anything else? Anyone following them? Or anything out of the ordinary? He asked, keeping his tone calm. The man hesitated for a moment before shaking his head. I don't know, Detective. Everything here is strange. People don't talk much, and when they do, it's to warn you. There's something about this place, something you can't see, but you can feel it. If you want my advice, finish what you came to do and leave as soon as you can. This isn't a place for outsiders. Marcus thanked the man for his time and left the store, feeling the unease grow within him. The man was right. There was something different about Woodberry, a heavy, oppressive air that seemed to warn him away. But Marcus couldn't leave, not without answers. He looked towards the forest at the end of the street where the fog was beginning to thicken again, and he knew that somewhere among the trees lay the key to solving the mystery. The day was just beginning,